Hello fellow collectors and welcome to Long's Toys. Today we are taking a look at 3 new figures from the 6th wave of the Power Rangers Lightning Collection from Hasbro. We have the Zeo Red Ranger, the In Space Yellow Ranger, and the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger. There is a 4th figure in this wave, but it is just a reissue of Goldar, and I already have him from back when he was a GameStop exclusive, I think in between waves 1 and 2, I want to say. It's been a minute. But in any case, I didn't feel the need to pick him up. As far as I can tell, it's very much the same figure. There might be a few subtle paint differences, and I think his sword is technically a little different, but I didn't feel the need to grab it. So I just wanted to get the 3 new figures. Now, some of you might say, yes, we did already have Mighty Morphin Black as Walgreens exclusive with the Dragon Shield, but I feel like they did give us a new head, and although I really don't think they've nailed Walter Jones's likeness with either head, I think this one's a little bit better than the one that came with the Dragon Shield, so I wanted to go ahead and pick this one up. Plus, I would like to have the regular version of Zack as well. Although probably very soon we're going to get metallic versions of these guys with the Season 2 cast, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see a metallic Black Ranger with Adam's head, since we've already seen metallic pink with Catherine's head. So only time will tell on that, but that's just a hunch. In any case, probably going to have a few Mighty Morphin Black Rangers by the time we're done here. Also, Bandai did these. Bandai really has done all 3 of these, to be fair. But I wanted to go ahead and pick these up because I do think the Hasbro versions are a little better. You get the civilian heads, you get more accessories than you did with the Bandai ones. And I just feel like the joints are a little bit better. Over time, the Bandai ones really start to lose their cohesiveness, I guess, for lack of a better term. They get kind of loose, even though you're not really doing anything with them, which is kind of a shame. Unfortunately, I don't have the Bandai for either of these to compare, but I do have the Bandai Yellow Ranger handy, so I'll bring that out and we can at least take a look of a little bit of a comparison for those. But moving along, we'll take a look at the packaging. Very sharp. It's what we're used to. I love the artwork here. The artist who does all the artwork for these boxes is phenomenal. I love how it kind of wraps around the side, and then you just have another picture here on this side, and then you have kind of a nice press photo of the figure here on the back. Otherwise, not too much going on with these. Again, here is In Space Yellow. Has the Star Slinger, I believe that accessory is called. Pretty cool. And there you go. So I'm going to go ahead and get these 3 out of the boxes here, and we'll take a closer look. So here are the 3 figures out of the packaging. We'll start over here with the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger. I think it looks pretty good. Something about the white, though, it doesn't seem as stark white as it could be. And maybe just because it's right up against black, so the contrast is making it come off like a little pearl white or even a little yellowed. I'm not sure. It could just be an optical illusion or something, but I don't know. Maybe I'm just crazy. In any case, they really did a nice job with the helmet. I think they did a really, really nice job with the detailing and the paint there. I think the axe looks good. Unfortunately, mine does have a bit of a paint flub. You can see down here. And it does come packaged with this down like this, so you don't see it right away. And then when I go to slide it up to do the axe mode, it's just weird because I would assume this is molded in black and the silver came from up here. So I guess they got a drop of silver on there and then just quick slid this down to hide it. But I like that you can do both modes. You have the cannon mode, you have the axe mode, and he does come with this kind of sparkly raspberry colored effect piece. You just plug that right into the end, and that looks really cool. I really like that effect piece. The Black Ranger with the Dragon Shield, I think, came with the blue version of this effect piece, and I thought it was really cool then as well. But you can slide this up to make the axe. I really appreciate that you can do both. It's not molded one way or the other, so very, very nice there. He also comes with a sword version of the Blade Blaster, which again, mine has a paint flub. You can see some red there. Maybe I could fix that with white out or something. But a little bit of silver here on the blade itself, so kind of cool. You can see in his holster he also has the gun version of the Blade Blaster. So you want to stand up. As soon as you take the Blade Blaster out of his holster, he just falls right over. In any case, the gun version I think looks pretty good. And I do like the sword version as well. And you can put the sword version in here if you'd rather. It's going to hang out down the bottom, but at least you'd get kind of a more correct look up in this area. So up to you whether you'd have the gun version or the sword version in the holster. I think I'll probably just leave the gun version in there. It's not too bad. But this was a nice surprise. I didn't know that. I mean, they revealed it eventually, but I didn't expect it when it was first revealed, because every other Mighty Morphin has just come with the gun version. And then, of course, we have to take a look at his new head sculpt. It's not bad. I think my problem with these is the eyes are never quite right. I think it's just too difficult to paint the eyes because they're so small. Because these heads are just, you know, they're going for the hyper realism, and it's just, I think it's difficult. They even gave him his earring, though. Gotta give him props for that. So yeah, it's not bad. And I think it's one of those things that, like, from farther away it looks better. I don't know. I still don't think it looks very much like Walter Jones, but I think it's better than the first one they gave us. So let me reposition the camera here just a smidge. There we go. Articulation, pretty standard for Lightning Collection. Head side to side, it's on a ball joint. You have a little bit of up and down as well. Butterfly joint in the shoulder, hinge, swivel, bicep swivel, double jointed elbows. You do not have a glove swivel, but then you have a hinge and rotation in the wrist. You have kind of a ball joint there in the torso. You have an ab crunch. You have kick to the front, kick to the side, not really a kick to the back. Thighs swivel there, double jointed knee. You do have a boot swivel, and then you have a rock and swivel in the ankle there. So, like I said, pretty standard. Morpher looks decent on the belt. Not too bad. Not too bad. Looks a little smooshed, but other than that, I think it looks pretty good for the most part. I think that's all of his accessories. He does have an extra set of fists, closed punching fists. So there you go. I think that's it for Zach. We will move on next to Ashley. For the most part, she looks good, but I feel like Hasbro always makes arms for female characters too thin. I mean, she almost looks sickly. And now that I have noticed it, I can't unsee it. Like everything else, like the helmet looks great, the torso looks good, I think the legs are fine. Why do the arms have to be this thin? I mean, these are supposed to be superheroes, you know, they have muscles. Why are her arms so thin? It just looks a little off to me. But you do have pretty much all the same articulation as the male mold, except that you only have one joint in the elbow and you have a rotation there because you don't have a bicep swivel. But you do have the butterfly joint, the shoulder joint's the same, the torso and the ab crunch is still there. You have the slit in the skirt so you can kind of kick out to the side, which is nice. Thigh swivel, double jointed knee. You do have the boot swivel. Yeah, I would say everything is the same except for the elbow joints, pretty much the only difference. Taking a look at her sidearm weapon. Pretty good. Nicely painted. I like that quite a bit. Very cool there. She also comes with the Star Slinger, and I think they did a great job with this. I mean, it's kind of a silly weapon to begin with, but they did a nice job. You know, she can kind of hold on to it back here, grab onto the grip here. But I think the coolest part is the effect piece, because they actually clip in. You can hear like an audible snap. So they'll stay in place, and that's great. Because I was really worried. I'm like, these are just going to fall right off. But they don't. They stay on very nice. They clip in very solid. I love that. Very, very cool. So we'll take these off. Put this off to the side. She has kind of one karate chop hand and then one fist. Very, very tiny. And then, of course, we have the somewhat controversial Ashley head. It's not that bad. Honestly, I think the hair and the eyes actually look good. I just think the smile's a little creepy. It's a little better in person. But yeah, I think if they would have just given her a closed mouth smile, I think this would have all been avoided. I think it would have been perfectly good. Because honestly, I was just saying how I think the eyes are usually messed up. I think her eyes actually look good. They did a nice job with the eyes on this one. It's just that smile's a little off-putting. It's a little creepy. Otherwise, I think it's a very nice head sculpt. If they would have just given her a closed mouth smile, I think it would have looked much more natural. But yeah, the figure looks good. I think they did a nice job. Like I said, I'll do a comparison with the Bandai one in a minute. But helmet looks great. I think they did a nice job. Although I can't tell, mine might be a little off. Because you can kind of see how there's like a natural cut. And it looks like the black doesn't fill in all the way. But if you look at it from the side, I think it looks nice. The silver is sharp. It's not perfect, but overall I'm happy with it. Alright, and then next up we have Zeo Red, which I think, sad to say, is my favorite out of the three. It just looks really sharp. The gold is very nice, which is a departure from the Bandai one. Again, I wish I had it to show you because I think the Bandai one, just this part was gold. Here, everything is painted gold, so it does look better. And he does actually have the sword, which is interesting because the Blue Ranger that they did in wave 3, 4, I don't remember which wave it was, he had the gun and the sword, but he did not have his individual weapons. So interesting that Tommy gets that treatment. I would honestly say this wave has been pretty heavy on accessories all around, and I'm pretty impressed with it. I mean, he has the extra version of the Blade Blaster. She has the Star Slinger with that effect piece, which I think is really cool. And then he's got the extra sword. So I really like the accessories all the way around. The sword, I believe, is exactly the same as the one that came with Zeo Blue. I believe the gun is the same. Cool little weapon, very nicely detailed. And I love the little effect piece they give you. That just... Oh, wow. Okay. That just really did a number on that. That is... I will say the paint on these has been a little nerve-wracking. Why is this not going in? I swear I did this before and it was perfectly fine. Okay, well, that happened live on camera. So when you can get the effect piece plugged in, I think it looks really cool, but you got to be careful because now the problem is this isn't going to break as much as it kind of looks like it is. It's just a little nubbin, but the paint is kind of caked on it. So when I moved it, it just kind of broke it. And you can see all that white paint just came off of that. I guess it was so globbed on there that just moving it around that little bit just caused it all to just flake right off. I had a similar problem with his sword. I tried to put it in his hand, and a little bit of the black here on the hilt came off in his hands. As I move the camera around so you can see his legs. Anyway, it's not as visible because I kind of wiped it off, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with these paint applications, Hasbro. I mean, I understand the odd QC issue, but I mean, literally, his axe, his Blade Blaster sword mode, his sword, now this gun. I mean, that just completely flaked off a big chunk of plastic, a big chunk of paint. So yeah, that's a bummer. But I don't think this is solid. The peg's not going to break off. At first, it looked like the peg was going to break off, but it just flaked the paint off. So anyway, there's a tiny little hole in the bottom of this effect piece. And when you peg that in, it looks really cool. I like the effect piece a lot when it's not busting the paint off. But it's a really cool effect piece. I like it. I mean, I'm really not going to worry about it. This is going to most likely sit in this holster for the whole time I'm displaying this figure, so I'm not heartbroken. I just think that's weird that you know, the first time I used it, it was perfectly fine. Then right now, just have all that paint flake off. Kind of a bummer. But yeah, articulation-wise, it's the same as the Mighty Morphin Black Ranger. He's got all the same articulation there. They all look pretty good, though. They do. I mean, honestly, I'm pretty happy with all of them. Oh, I forgot to show off Tommy's head. You can see he's got that longer hair pulled back in the smaller ponytail. Although you can see here, maybe I can't show it. There's like a noticeable gap right there where the top layer of hair connects to the head. it looks worse in person. I'm not showing it off great. Like over on this side, it's not as bad, but I just hope that it's not going to fall out at some point. But otherwise, I think the sculpt looks pretty good. The hairstyle, I think, works. Did a nice job with it. So I'm glad they're not just always giving us the exact same Tommy head. I appreciate that they're, different points in history, the hairstyle he had at that point. I think that they're actually staying pretty faithful to that. And then he comes with a set of fist hands as well. So that is everything for that. Honestly, like I said, I think Zeo Red might be my favorite. I do really like In Space Yellow, but like I said, I just feel like her arms are just a little too thin. But I love the accessories she comes with. The head sculpt's not... I mean, really, none of their head sculpts are perfect. They're fine. I think Tommy's is probably the best, and then maybe hers is second best, and his is third best. I don't know. As far as looking like the people they're supposed to look like. In general, I mean, if it just was... Like, this is a fine head sculpt. I just don't think it looks that much like Walter Jones. I think this actually does kind of look like Tracy Lynn Cruz. If she was smiling awkwardly at me. And I do think this looks like Jason David Frank from that point in time. So I gotta say, they're pretty decent head sculpts. So I wanted to do a quick comparison with the Hasbro and Bandai versions of In Space Yellow. I think this is a better shade of yellow. I think this is a little too bright. And also you can see that Hasbro did paint the gold there around the neck. And Bandai definitely missed that. Also, I just think the proportions on the Bandai one are a little ridiculous. I think they're definitely a little bit more normal and accurate over here on the Hasbro one. I will say that the arms are a little bit more solid over here. They're just made a little bit bigger so they don't feel as frail. But I would say articulation's pretty much exactly the same. The weapon is actually pretty comparable as far as paint applications. Let me go ahead and see if I can do a closer look at these over here. Zoom in. So actually there was more paint on the Bandai one. That is surprising. They have that little bit of silver there on the handle. Otherwise they're pretty much the same. I kind of like the lighter blue. Not that the darker blue looks bad. I just think the lighter blue is a little bit sharper. But yeah, surprisingly the Bandai one actually had more paint on it than the Hasbro one. Not something you'll usually hear. But yeah, I don't know. Something about the Bandai one seems a little bit more gangly, and again, I haven't really done anything with this figure. The joints just feel loose. Like she's having trouble standing. The torso is really out of control. So yeah, I just think the Hasbro one seems a little bit more solid. Let's compare the helmets here. Yeah, I mean, I would say the helmets are fairly similar. They both did a pretty good job on the helmet. But yeah, overall, I just think Hasbro does make the superior figure. So if you were deciding whether or not you should upgrade, I definitely think between the paint applications, the accessories, and just a little bit more normalized proportions, I think the Hasbro one's a better figure overall. I think all three of these are solid figures, honestly. The detailing's there, the paint applications, the articulation, the accessories. This wave especially seems a little bit above and beyond for accessories, what I'm used to with Hasbro. Yes, mine had a couple paint flubs here or there, but I mean, that's just random QC issues for a mass-produced line. What are you going to do? None of them are that, terrible that I feel like I have to return them or try to get another one. They're all pretty negligible depending on how I display the figure. So I definitely think all three of these are worth picking up. If you don't have Goldar, I would pick him up as well. Even if you already have the Bandai versions, as I just showed off, especially with the female molds, I think Hasbro just does a much better job of making a more realistic female mold than Bandai did. And even with the male molds, I think it's just kind of a little bit more compact, better detailed, better painted. Certainly better accessories. Hasbro definitely knocks it out of the park with accessories compared to the Bandai versions. So I recommend picking up all three of these, even if you already have the Bandai versions. If you don't, then I definitely recommend picking these up. Really no reason not to. But yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. And as always, thanks so much for watching.